I think there's a time and a place for Simon to do what Simon does. It's just not here. Nobody's wearing costumes, but part of me is not really surprised.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss Summer House Martha's Vineyard, Season 2, Episode 7. And before we get into it, let me just say thank you guys so much for all the birthday love. I appreciate you guys. I love y'all. And when I tell y'all, y'all really know how to make a girl feel special. I had the most amazing day, and I already warned you guys that the recaps would be late, all right? So thank you for bearing with me. And again, I just really appreciate you guys. I truly don't take for granted my platform, the love that you guys show me, the engagement. I am forever grateful. And it's a blessing to be going into another year living in an answered prayer. And that's what my YouTube channel is. It is truly an answered prayer.
Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
But guys, when I tell y'all, Summer House Martha's Vineyard really is that girl. And if you're not watching, I need you to tune in and watch. Get these numbers up because the girls are giving what the other girls were supposed to have gave, in the words of the iconic Rolling Ray. Baby, the way this reunion is about to be a hot mess because Summer, you have so much explaining to do. Amir, when it comes to Natalie and these snide anti-black remarks, it's a hot mess. And somebody let me know that Amir is questioned about Natalie's behavior and he had a lot to answer for at this reunion. And I hope they don't cut it out because Amir needs to be on the hot seat and we all want to see it. And one more quick point. I see everybody talking about, I don't like the dynamic of them being in the house for 14 days straight. I wish their schedule was like the OG Summer House, where they film every weekend. But let me just break this down quickly. As a native New Yorker who goes to the Hamptons every single year, you know that Martha's Vineyard and the Hamptons are completely different ball game. The Hamptons is a 2.5 hour. If there's traffic, it's maybe 4 hours. But either way, all you have to do is get on the Long Island Expressway. Whereas going to Martha's Vineyard, it's not that easy. You have to either take a ferry or a plane. You have to book the ferry months in advance. It's a whole thing. So when you're on Martha's Vineyard, you're pretty much stuck there. You can't just come and go like you can with the Hamptons. So that's why the OG Summer House is able to stay the entire summer and they're able to come and go. We see them in the Hamptons from Thursday to Sunday, and then the rest of the week they're back in the city, versus on Martha's Vineyard, they're just there for the entire 15 days. That's one of the biggest reasons why the cast dynamics are different, because on OG Summer House, they're able to leave and have some breathing room, have some space. But on Martha's Vineyard, they're stuck on top of each other day after day after day. And that's why I feel like the drama is a bit much, because they're all getting tired of seeing each other day in and day out. But guys, with all that being said, let's just jump right on into it, because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this episode with a continuation of Summer's rant. Now remember, we ended last week's episode with Summer going around the house, throwing things, cursing, yelling, and crying because she was upset with Noel and Bria. So anyhow, we see Summer and Noel in Summer and Jordan's room, and Summer's like, I don't care anymore. They're your anchors. Go be with them. And Noel is so confused. She was like, girl, what are you talking about? It's not about me having an anchor. And we know that Summer is jealous of Noel, Shanice, and Bria's friendship because she feels like their friendship is just so fun, lighthearted, and just a good time. So that's why she's lashing out about Noel no longer needing her, and she feels like Noel has ditched her for greener pastures. But anyhow, Noel wasn't having it. She says, Summer, the better question to ask is, are you good? Like, what's going on? So you have Summer talking about, oh, I'm good, and she's clearly not good. I was like, Summer, you might as well just come clean and tell Noel what you're dealing with, because you're not doing a good job of hiding it. You're having outbursts, lashing out. This is about the 5th time now that you've been crying about something. You've had an issue since the first night. I loved how Noel wasn't buying it. She said, Summer, clearly you're not good. Like, tell me, what is it? And I said, Noel has the patience of a saint, because I would have been in bed. I have a very short fuse for things like this. And especially since Summer pushed Noel, we would not be speaking. And Summer, you gave that BS answer about how you're just upset because Bria makes you feel like you're crazy. I said, any other time I could accept that answer, because Bria definitely does try it. But I'm so sorry, Summer. In this case, that's not a real excuse, because you were wrong. Bria did not do anything to you in the last episode, and you know it. Also, sis, let's really talk about how you're just angry because you're jealous. You feel like Noel has traded you in and doesn't have time for you, and you feel a way about that. And before anybody says, oh, give Summer some grace or don't be so hard on her, let me just say, I don't have too much sympathy for Summer and the fact that she's crying about being left out, because she was all smug in the first episode when she was ha-ha and he-heing about how she was leaving Jasmine out of the Jamaica trip that she planned. So it was okay to exclude Jasmine, but now that you're the odd person out, now you want to cry and whine about how you just feel so bad and so sad? Well, sis, what goes around comes around. So now Summer goes on to say that she just can't deal with this because she's drunk. Noel leaves her room, and now it's about 4 a.m. at this point, and we see Jordan, Jasmine, and Summer all talking. Now, Summer's on the floor with Jordan, and Summer is pretty much crying about how she's just exhausted, she's just so tired. And at one point, it gets so bad, you have Jordan hugging her, and she's like, it's okay, girl, it's okay. And I said, Summer, you're better off just telling everybody in the house what's really going on with you and why you're acting out. They would receive that so much better. But Summer, in all seriousness though, if you do come back for the next season, I'm going to need you to go and sit on the nearest therapist couch before you enter into the house, because nobody wants to watch this for another season. Please get your issues sorted out. So now it's the next morning, and when I tell y'all that the house was a mess, I mean, baby, the amount of empty liquor bottles by the pool, you have all this leftover food, the dishes are piled up. I said, this house is too damn big for y'all not to have a cleaning service. Next season, you guys need to pitch in and hire a cleaning service, because yeah, I just wouldn't have the energy to clean up after having a big party like that. I wouldn't. And I'm somebody where I enjoy paying for convenience. So if I have the means to outsource chores, I will gladly do that. Now, since everybody was up till 4 a.m. arguing and cursing and crying, everybody's sound asleep. We see that Nick is wide awake. He's getting ready for his 5K race that's on the Vineyard. And he says that he loves running. It gives him a peace of mind. And he's been in 10 marathons. He says that he's ran in New York, Chicago, Tokyo, London, and he's excited to run in Martha's Vineyard. So now we find out that after the race, Nick is going to be hosting Luxe on the Bluff. So he's expecting his friends to come. His girlfriend, Tasha, is going to be coming in a few hours. He has to make sure that the house is nice and neat. So we see him send out a mass text to everybody while he's going to the race. And he says, when I come back from my race, I want us to meet up about who's going to do what to get ready for the party. And if I'm being honest, Nick is now in my top 3 for my favorites on this show. Right now, this is my ranking. Noel and Jasmine are tied for number 1. Then it's Preston, and then it's Nick. But shout out to Nick, because I think that's so cool that he really loves running and that he's been in several marathons. That's a big accomplishment. So now we flip over to Amir and Natalie on the patio. And once again, the anti-blackness jumped out. Because when Amir asked Natalie, did you have fun last night at Freaknik? And Natalie says, I mean, it was a bit too wild for my taste, and that's not my vibe. Well, what exactly is your vibe? I'll wait. And Miss Mamas, aren't you from Miami? So you're telling me that you haven't seen anything wilder in Miami on South Beach? And how is having fun, taking shots, drinking, how is that wild? Just say that you felt uncomfortable around so many, let's call a spade, because I'm so sorry. If you go to clubs, if you like to party, I'm just confused as to how this was so wild. And you tried to catch yourself because you said, oh, I'm not saying that the girls weren't my vibe. I'm just saying that the behavior wasn't my vibe. First of all, you and Amir left the hot tub and went to bed early. So you weren't even around when Summer had her outburst like that. So again, sis, I'm just not understanding how you can say that that wasn't your vibe. Natalie, you were uncomfortable the minute you got in the house. You were uncomfortable at Preston's event. So now we flip over to Summer and Jordan. They're in their room talking about last night. Summer says that last night was a very drunk conversation. Now Summer goes on to add that life has been forcing her to deal with her issues that she's been running away from. And I said, once again, there is nothing like some good old-fashioned therapy. Because, my God, Summer, we cannot go another season with you lashing out. So for your own sake, Summer, you need to deal with your issues like yesterday. Because if you don't, it's going to get worse. And now Summer acknowledges that she plans on having some tough conversations with people in the house. And I said, girl, you got a long road ahead because you've damn near pissed off everybody in this house. Now, I was a bit taken aback when they showed us that parallel scene and we see Bria talking to Natalie about what happened last night. And she's like, yeah, girl, Summer was so crazy last night. She was just so drunk. She was yelling at me and cursing at me. She wanted to fight me, just a mess. And I said, why are you talking to Natalie about any of this? Natalie is not a castmate. She is Amir's girlfriend who's only on here for 3 episodes. So why are we telling Natalie anything? That really pissed me off, especially when we saw later on when Jordan, Natalie, and Donald are at the pool and they're cleaning up. And we see Natalie saying, oh, well, I have the tea. Bria was telling me earlier on that Summer said this, and that about you. She feels like your friendship isn't as fun and X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, Jordan, why are you listening to secondhand information from a person who's not even a castmate? Natalie could not tell me anything. It's no shade, girl, but you're not on this show. And Jordan ate it up too. I said, Jordan, really? Why are we listening to Natalie? You and Natalie weren't even checking for each other in the last episode, but now Natalie is your go-to person for all the tea about what's going on with you and Summer? Like, what's going on? I was living for the conversation between Alex, Noel, and Preston when it came to Summer being drunk. And Alex said, we have to stop making excuses for people just because they're drunk. And Preston said, yeah, I agree. If you know that you're an overly emotional drunk or an aggressive drunk, you need to know when to stop. And it was funny because as they were talking about Summer, Summer was coming down the stairs and she was eavesdropping. But I'm on the same page with Alex and Preston. If you can't control your alcohol, then you might need to take a rest and drink some water or drink a mocktail or get some lemonade. Because it seems like alcohol and Summer just don't agree. I enjoyed the short scene with Nick at the race. We see that he has placed 5th and he was 5 out of 100. So he did really well. So he says that lately the number 5 has been following him because his frat brother, who was a good friend of his, passed away recently. And his pledge number was 5. And I definitely believe in signs because y'all know my dad passed away. It'll be 3 years next week. And there was this butterfly that I used to see when I was little, and I didn't see it anymore for a long time. And ever since he passed away, I see this white butterfly every summer. And I actually saw it earlier today. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So every time I see the butterfly, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my dad coming to say hi. So I definitely believe in signs. I think that Nick will be seeing the number 5 everywhere often. So I totally get it. Nick, I think that that's your frat brother saying hey, and that he sees you and that he's with you. And I just really got choked up throughout this episode, and I have so much respect and just overall empathy for Nick. And I really appreciated how vulnerable he was in this episode, as we see later on in the episode when he shared more of the story about his frat brother. So now we're back at the house, and Summer walks up to everybody in the kitchen. It's a bit awkward because the way Summer showed her ass the night before, everybody's good off of her. So Summer says, hey, Noel, are you open to talking with me privately? Noel says sure. They go sit down in the sunroom, and Summer starts it off by asking Noel how she's doing. Noel's like, I'm going to be so honest with you, Summer. I feel like you don't like me. It feels like you low-key hate me. Like, what's tea? So you have Summer saying, no, it's not that I don't like you. I actually love you. I have a lot of love for you. It's just that I was angry at Bria and you were on the receiving end of my anger. And once again, Summer, I have to call BS on that, because that's not the real issue. You feel slighted because you feel like Noel has ditched you for other people in this house. You were not expecting for Noel to really hit it off with everybody in the house. You thought that Noel would be lonely and maybe awkward and have trouble fitting in. But the fact that Noel's having more success, she's more popular than you in this house, is eating you alive. It's clear that you are jealous that Noel is doing well without you. And see, the way my memory is set up and the way I'm a bit petty, if I were Noel, I would have brought up that comment that Summer made when she said, oh, I'm not your anchor anymore. They are, go be with them. I would have said, oh, okay, so you're not mad at me, you're mad at Bria, but why did you say that statement last night about I'm not your anchor anymore? What was that about? I would have called Summer right on out, because you're not going to pee on my leg and tell me that it's raining. Your jealousy is getting the best of you, and that's why you're lashing out. Summer goes on to say that when she gets angry, she sees red, just like Bria, and how her and Bria are more alike than she cares to admit. I just said, Summer, shut up. Stop with all this. Stop with all these fake excuses and all these reasons about why you did that. Just be a woman and own up to what you did and say, you know what, Noel, I'm feeling slighted because I feel like I brought you into this house and you've ditched me, and that's why I'm mad. Just say that. So now Noel brings up that push, and she's like, Summer, do you remember pushing me last night? So Summer says no, and for some reason there's a big part of me that doesn't believe Summer. I feel like she remembers exactly what happened, but she's too scared to admit that. But I just need you to know you need to keep your hands to yourself, because this is your second incident. Let's not forget season 1 when she got mad at Bria and she pushed Bria and nobody said a word about that. They just glossed over that conveniently. So Summer, 3 strikes and you're out. Because I can assure you that if you put hands on somebody again, it probably won't be as mellow and as sweet as it is right now with somebody talking to you about this. It probably might end up with you on the receiving end of getting slapped. Or somebody might just cut you off completely and never speak to you again. And you could tell that Noel was just so over it, because she even said, I mean, that's cute and all, sis, but in my opinion, a drunk mind speaks a sober heart. And no offense, sis, but you're very spicy and mean when you're drunk. But Noel goes on to add that she did feel discarded last night, and then she pleads for Summer to just reveal what's going on. She's like, Summer, you always want to act like you have it all together, but it's okay not to have it all together. Just tell us what's going on. So at this point, they're both crying. And I said, Summer, why are you crying? The only person who should be crying right now is Noel. We've seen you cry for the last 4 or 5 episodes. It's enough. And you're the cause of all this mess for the most part. So for you to be crying like you're the victim in this situation, I don't think so. And Noel was truly hurt. She said, I don't want to dead this whole thing, but I do need time and some space. And then Noel adds that when her and Summer first met, they hit it off immediately. They were fast friends. And now they're almost done with this vacation, and Summer has shown her true colors. So she says, I can forgive, but things will never be the same again. Now, here's my 2 cents on this whole debacle. If you don't want to cut Summer off, I would advise you to demote her from friend to associate. You guys can be cordial, say, hey, how you doing? Very casual. When you see her out at events, talk for a few minutes. Hey, how are you? How's the family? But I don't think that you need to try and rebuild a friendship. Summer should have been iced out when she set you up with Alex in episode 4, when she advised you to go and shoot your shot when you guys were out at the club. And to make matters worse, she was never even honest or upfront with you about the nature of their relationship. You had no idea that they had had sex. So it's just been a lot of mess with Summer, and if I were you, I would back away. Now listen, I'm really good at cutting folks off completely. I can do it like that. I feel like we are too grown to be having conversations with people when they have hurt you or harmed you. There's nothing to talk about. They are well aware of what they did. Life is too short to be around people who wish you ill and do not have your best interests at heart. People have hidden animosity, hidden jealousy towards you. They will always set you up to sabotage you. That stuff is deep. And the minute I peep it, shout out to everybody, I have fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody, I had fun. I gotta be good.
Nick comes back from the race. He has all these flowers with him to prepare for the party. And I felt like their response to him placing 5th was a bit dry. I'm like, y'all can't be more enthusiastic. I didn't like when Amir made that joke saying, oh, only 5th place. I thought you were going to say that you were 1st place. I'm just like, why can't you say congratulations? Have you ever been in a marathon? And now we see Nick trying to have a meeting in the kitchen about who's going to do what to prepare for the house for his Luxe on the Bluffs party. So Bria's immediately like, no offense, but I have too much on my plate right now. I can't help. And when I had my event a few days ago, Briacella, nobody helped me. Production, y'all did y'all's big one when you guys played the footage and you showed that Nick, Alex, and Shanice did help Bria with her event. I said, now, Bria, what was that? Bria, if you don't want to help, then just don't help. But all this extra stuff and saying, well, you guys didn't help me when they actually did help you, that wasn't right. But Bria keeps going back and forth, and Nick is like, look, Bria, I would greatly appreciate it if you would clean all the bathrooms downstairs for the guests. That would be great. So Bria's like, I mean, okay, I guess. Then we see Bria go up to her room, and she's like, you know what? I'm not doing that. If you want me to clean up, then get a maid. I'm like, Bria, you just told Nick that you would help, and now you're saying I don't want to do that? Like Nick said earlier, if you don't want to help, then don't help. But don't say I'm going to help and then change your mind and say, well, I'm not going to do it. Like, girl, what's going on? And then Bria's saying that she doesn't have time to cater to Nick because she has her man here and her dog. I just said, okay, girl. Then she goes on to say that Simon has been acting like a dick because he's upset that he can't stay longer. I said, from where I'm sitting, Simon seems pretty happy to me. Now, when Nick addresses everybody about them not supporting him running the race, I was here for it. When he said, as you guys know, I ran a 5K earlier this morning and I couldn't even get a text saying good luck. Like, that doesn't take any time out of your day. And the way everybody was on mute, and you have Preston and I think it was Jasmine or somebody saying, oh, I appreciate that. And I'm like, that's not a good response. If somebody's saying you really hurt my feelings, you didn't show up for me and I'm hurt by that, I think that deserves more than I appreciate you for telling me that. You should be saying, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry. That was my bad. And if you've been following me for quite some time, y'all know how I am about support. And then you have Noel saying, I mean, Nick, read the room. It's kind of tone deaf. We all went to bed at 5 in the morning. Nobody had time to come to a raise. And again, Noel, you missed the point. He's just pointing out the fact that you guys are too lazy and too self-centered to even send him a text wishing him good luck and support. But Nick is like, you know what? Let's just move on. He starts assigning roles for everybody. He's like, Jordan is on turntables duty. She's going to be DJing his event. Jasmine's in charge of getting the floral arrangements together. And Preston is on kitchen duty. So Nick goes on to say, oh, and by the way, Bria's going to be cleaning out the toilets. And I was just like, Nick, good luck with that. That's going to be on you because Bria is upstairs talking about she's not cleaning anything. Now, personally, Nick, if I were you, I would have just hired a cleaning service because like I said, the house is way too big. You guys don't have that much time to prepare for the party. So help yourself out and let's expedite the process and have a cleaning crew come in. But that's just me. I thought it was cute when Nick's girlfriend Tasia arrived. And Nick says that Tasia is his heart. He loves how kind she is and how much grace she gives him. And he's like, yeah, because I'm not a perfect person and I really appreciate how she shows me grace. Now, Nick, I like you and all. You've definitely become one of my faves. But explain it to me. What does that mean when you say she's given me so much grace? Because a lot of times when I hear men say she's given me grace and forgiven me, it's usually about cheating. And we know that you have a track record of being in other women's DMs all of last season. So as everybody is getting ready for the party, we see Jordan confront Summer about what Natalie told her regarding Summer feeling like the friendship with Jordan and Preston is a clique. So Summer starts crying immediately and she's like, I feel like all my relationships are effing up. So now we see Jordan in the kitchen with Shanice and Bria and she's asking Bria, where does Bria stand with Summer right now? Bria's over Summer. She's like, listen, I did not like the way Summer threw my private conversation about Simon back in my face last night. And we see a clip of Bria discussing how jealous Simon is. And Bria's like, what if I had told her something else? Then she goes on to say that obviously Summer's in a lot of pain and she wants to keep her distance from Summer. I swear that Summer just knows instinctively when people are talking about her because the way she came downstairs at this very moment, so she's like, Bria, would you like to talk right now? And Bria's like, no, I'm good, but thank you anyway. Maybe later, but just not right now. And then we hear Bria say that she just can't jump into a conversation like that. But you already know how Bria's personality is, so I don't even know why you thought that that was the right time to approach Bria about having a talk. And also, it all makes sense why Bria and Summer aren't getting along present day. Remember that tea that I spilled in the last recap when I told you guys about the rant that Summer went on at the premiere party? How she was saying that her and Bria don't F with each other right now and how she's just so over the show and she doesn't even know she wants to come back on for season 3. Yeah, it all makes sense watching this season play out why her and Bria still aren't cool right now. So now we see guests starting to arrive, and the first 2 guests are Nick's cousin and one of his friends. Now, Nick's cousin doesn't drink, so her and Summer bond over the fact that they're going to be having mocktails all night. Summer says that with her track record, she's going to go into this party sober. And I said, Summer, that's the best decision that you've made all season long. Because Miss Mamas, it's apparent that you can't seem to handle your alcohol. So being sober tonight, that's the best idea yet. So more guests have arrived and Luxe on the Bluffs has officially started. So baby, we see Miss Mariah come on through. And here's where it gets awkward. At one point, Mariah's in the kitchen and Amir had gone into the kitchen to get some more wine for Natalie. So Mariah and Amir say hi. It's kind of tense between them. It's awkward. We all know why. And Mariah says, hey, Amir, would you mind talking for just a few minutes? Amir's like, sure, but we know that he does not want to talk. So they sit down to talk, and Amir starts it off by asking, how is Mariah doing? And Mariah's like, I have to admit, I was really hurt by you not speaking up last year. She goes on to say that nobody in their right mind would mix up dog clothes and put them in the laundry, and how Amir is a realtor, so he should know all about house etiquette. Now, Amir looked like, girl, why am I here? Why are we still talking about this? And he's like, I don't know what me being a realtor has to do with me mixing up the clothes. Then he goes on to say, look, Mariah, accidents happen. And Mariah says, well, honestly, I don't think that it was an accident. So now Mariah says, look, if it was an accident, that's fine. But what I really want is an apology. And Amir could have kept this half-assed apology. And it wasn't an apology because he says, I'm sorry that that happened. Then he goes on to say that he owned his part, but that Mariah needs to own the fact that she did react in that moment. Let me just stop for a minute. That whole conversation was so cringe because it was pulling teeth to get Amir to own anything. And Mariah, I have to just get on you quickly because I understand your hurt and your frustration because you were unfairly kicked out. But at this point, you have to be okay with accepting the fact that Amir does not feel like he did anything wrong. And you trying to browbeat and force him to apologize to you is not going to help things. And you did all that just for him to not even give you a real apology. Also, Mariah, at a certain point, it starts to look desperate when you are begging for somebody to give you something that they just don't want to give you. If somebody does not want to own up to what they did, if somebody does not want to love you, like you, value you, you can't force that. And I'm honestly tired of hearing about this laundry mix-up in the first place. It happened last season. We are almost done with season 2. I don't want to hear this anymore. Yes, I understand that you're hurt. You have every right to be hurt. But let's move on from this because we're officially beating a dead horse. And when Amir went back outside to tell Nick and Alex what happened, even Nick was just like, oh my gosh, it's been a whole entire year. And Mariah, I saw on Twitter you were going off about the whole situation again. And I'm like, again, I understand that this situation cost you a lot. But Miss Mamas, at some point, we have to let it go. As the party's going on, we see Preston and Summer having a heart-to-heart. Preston addresses what he heard. He says, I was taken aback when I heard that you feel like our friendship is tough and isn't fun. And he goes on to add that he prides himself on being a good friend and being easy to talk to. So he's like, look, if you ever feel like it's just too much, let me know and I'll give you some fun. So now they laugh it off, they hug it out, and Summer's like, thank you so much, Preston. I really needed that. And I have to say, everything just seems so heavy and so emotional and so draining. Like, when do you guys really have a good time and let loose? Because even at this party, we see Summer down in the dumps, Mariah still rehashing the whole laundry, dog mess. I'm like, y'all, let's just have some fun, please. Now, before I forget, Nick, I know that this is your party. It's called Luxe on the Bluffs. But I didn't really get a whole lot of Luxe. Where was the catered spread? Why am I seeing 8 boxes of pizza and some sandwiches from the supermarket? It's no shade, but if it's going to be called Luxe on the Bluffs, I want to see some Luxe. Preston did a great job. He had catered food at his mixer in the last episode. That's what I wanted to see here. So now we see Noel's friend Destiny arrive. And Destiny was wearing a similar outfit to Jordan. She had this cream dress on and her hair was similar as well. So she walks by Amir and Natalie at one point, and Amir thought that that was Jordan. So he's like, oh, Jordan? So Natalie gets upset, and I'm like, Natalie, why are you upset? This is embarrassing that Natalie is so insecure and so pressed that Amir can't even say, oh, was that Jordan? Without her sulking and being angry. So Amir's like, babe, what's wrong? Did I say something? And Natalie's like, yeah, you said, oh my gosh, Jordan. I'm like, baby, if you know that you're that girl, if you know that your man only has eyes for you, why are you worried about Jordan? Amir is with you. He's not with Jordan. I low-key feel like you're threatened by the fact that Jordan rejected your man, and that if she wanted to, she could probably get him. That's why you're so bothered. But I said there's no way and there's no reason for you to be angry at him because he said Jordan's name. And so Amir goes on to say, no, because she looks just like Jordan and they have the same hair, the same wig. Then he goes on to say, oh yeah, all these girls in the house have like 6 wigs. It's crazy. I said, Amir, that's how I know that you're out of touch, because the only person in this house wearing wigs is Jordan. Everybody else is wearing their natural hair or weaves. And I just felt like that was a bit of shade for you to say, oh yeah, all the girls in the house have at least 6 wigs. Like, sir, what? But I guess you have to throw shade when you're in a house with 5 or 6 beautiful black women and your girlfriend is insecure. So now we see everybody in the backyard and Nick gives a speech. But Nick thanks everybody for coming. And he goes on to say that today he ran a 5K race and how he came in 5th. And then he goes on to add that the number 5 is very important to him and how it's been following him for quite some time. Now, remember, earlier in the episode, Nick revealed that his frat brother who passed away, his pledge number was number 5. So now Nick goes on to say that he feels like his frat brother is with him every time he runs a marathon, because the last race that he did, he finished in 5 minutes and 55 seconds. And then we go on to learn that Nick's frat brother was an amazing swimmer, a seasoned swimmer, and he passed away because he drowned. And I'm not going to hold you guys, I completely lost it when Nick started crying in his confessional. I felt his pain, and I just said, Nick, it is okay, let it out. It's painful. So I just said, Nick, thank you for sharing and sending you my deepest condolences. But I think that that was a beautiful tribute for your friend. And thank you for opening up and sharing with us. I know that couldn't have been easy. And I just really felt bad. My heart broke. So now they all toast to being black.
We drinking strawberry and champagne. Hold on, let me get a strawberry.
And everybody goes inside to start dancing and to finally have some fun. I said, thank God won't he do it, because it's just been so heavy throughout these last few episodes. Now, the way I started screaming, because while they're dancing, Nick and Alex and one of their friends, they start strolling. Now, we all know that Alex, Nick, Preston, and Noel are all in the Divine Nine. Now, Alex and Nick, I appreciate the history lesson of you guys telling us about the Divine Nine and Greek life, especially at HBCUs. Somebody on Twitter had me screaming. They said this cast reminds them of Ebony K. Williams when she was on New York and she was educating them every single episode. It was just like, oh my gosh, girl, can we please just have some fun? Can we eat some ice cream and just call it a day? So while everybody's dancing, having fun, we see Phil come through. The fact that they allowed Phil to come to that house had me shook. I said, y'all were just saying a few episodes ago that Phil would never step foot back into this house. And the fact that he's there, Phil looked like he was nervous. He was just like, you know what, I'm here. I'm not going to touch anything. I'll be on my best behavior. It is evident that Phil is begging to be back on this show, and he wants to be back on for season 3. Now, did anybody notice when Phil walked in and said hello, Nick was looking at him like, I mean, I guess. Now, when Simon comes downstairs, he's wearing that Flamingo costume, and maybe it's just me, but I didn't think that that was a big deal. Was it silly? Yeah, but I didn't think it was the end of the world. Bria talking about, oh my gosh, take that off. That's just so trashy. How dare you? If you don't take this off right now, I'm going to break up with you. I'm like, girl, what? And I don't like when people threaten their boyfriend or their girlfriend or their husband or wife about breaking up just because they're upset about something. Those are some serious words. And me, I'm going to call you on your bluff. If you say, I'm going to break up with you, I'm out. I feel like you need to be intentional with your words. And that's really serious to say. And the fact that she kept saying, if you don't stop it, I'm breaking up with you. And she was saying it at one point in front of everybody. Because when they were at the stairwell, Alex and Shanice were watching. And then you have Natalie watching on the steps. And I'm like, why do you want to embarrass him like that? Obviously, Simon did not have any ill intent. He was just trying to have fun. That's all it was. Now, when Simon took the suit off, I don't know if he passed gas or something, but they all start complaining about how it smells. You have Natalie being extra. She was like, oh my gosh, it smells like booty over there. Stay away. I'm like, Natalie, go away. Like, leave us alone. But we close out the episode with Bria and Simon arguing in their room. And Bria's like, I'm going to end this relationship. It's over. And Simon's like, really? You want to end the relationship because I wore a flamingo suit? Like, okay. And I'm just like, Bria, do you want Simon or not? Because it seems like ever since he got here, you're annoyed. The way you were begging for him to come, saying how you miss getting the D and you haven't gotten any in all this time and that's your boo, that's your man. And now it's, well, I can't stand him and he always does this. He's making me look bad. I'm like, girl, do you want this man or not? But Bria goes on to say that this night was dedicated to Nick's frat brother that he lost and how Simon showing up in that flamingo suit shows that there are bigger issues in their relationship and how it's the tipping point because Simon always puts himself first. Now I said, Bria, that's rich coming from you because you're very self-centered. So for you to say, well, he always puts himself first, but you do as well. And now we see Bria telling Simon to pack up his stuff and go. She's done. And we see a to be continued. And that's where the episode ends. I just said, child, can we please have one episode where nobody is upset, crying, arguing about something trivial? Can we just have one episode of fun, please? A feel-good episode where everybody's getting along and everybody is happy. Can we just get that? Is that too much to ask? But next episode looks good because we see Natalie inserting herself, talking about, oh, I'm going to tell Tasia that Nick is too handsy with the girls. Excuse me, what? Time out. That's not your place. Also, I thought we settled this whole thing 3 episodes ago. So why is that getting brought back up? But it looks like Nick has his breaking point. He snaps out, and it seems like he snaps at Noel. But let me just say this. I will be seated because the episode looks good and I cannot wait. But y'all, that was my recap. Thank you all for watching, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.